Good evening, visitors. Welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Troy Clayton, and joining us today from the Australian Army is Warrant Officer Class 1, Virginia Morris. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Return in Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection by visitors to the memorial. If you're able, please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Thank you. If you're able, you may be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn their loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight, we'll read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths or floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the Pool of Reflection.
Today we remember and pay tribute to Private Charles Anderson. Charlie Anderson was born in Sweden in late 1890 to Anders Anderson and Jelena Nilsdotter. He was educated in his home country and little is known of his early life. In December 1913, he sailed from England to Australia. The ship's passenger manifest described him as a 22-year-old and a farm labourer. He disembarked in Melbourne in January 1914 and went to work on a farm at Diggers Rest in country Victoria. Only 7 months later, the First World War began. Anderson remained at Diggers Rest till on the 2nd of August 1916, he became a naturalised Australian citizen. The following day, he joined the Australian Imperial Force in Melbourne. On his attestation form, he was described as 5 foot 7 inches tall, with a tattoo on his chest and tattoos on his forearms. After his initial training, he was allocated to the 5th Reinforcements to the 6th Machine Gun Company. Anderson embarked with other reinforcement from Sydney aboard the transport ship Commonwealth bound for England on the 19th of September 1916. On the 13th of February 1917, he was taken on strength of the 4th Division Machine Gun Company and had the letter A added to his regimental number because someone else in the unit already had that number. Further training in England followed, and it was not until the 2nd of October that he joined the 13th Machine Gun Company in France. The unit at this time was preparing to move to Ypres section. Anderson entered the front line for the first time on the 10th of October at Brudshine Ridge. 2 days later, his unit provided fire support for the 4th Australian Division in what became known as the Battle of Passchendaele. The 13th Machine Gun Company left the line on the 15th of October and by November had returned to northern France. From January 1918, the unit spent time rotating between the front line and support at Hollybaker. In March, the Australian machine gun companies were amalgamated into battalions. Anderson's company retained its original designation but became a part of the 4th Machine Gun Battalion. On the 21st of March, the German Army launched its spring offensive known as Operation Michael, which forced the British Expeditionary Force to withdraw. Anderson and his unit were taken first by lorry and then on foot to Berticourt. On the 28th of March, the Australian positions were subject to heavy German bombardment. During the afternoon, Anderson's gun team was struck by a German shell, killing Anderson instantly. A second man died from wounds soon after. Anderson and his mate were buried side by side where they were killed. After the war, Anderson's remains were interred in the Sonley Communal Cemetery Extension. He was 27 years old. His name is listed on the Roll of Honour on my right, among almost 62,000 Australians who died while serving in the First World War. A photograph of his headstone is displayed today by the Pool of Reflection. This is but one of many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Private Charles Anderson, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We'll remember them.
lest we forget.
Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozières or in the low scrub of Gallipoli, with his poor, tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today and for your continued support during the memorial's development project. We wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.